Open any introduction to sociology textbook, and you're bound to find a chapter on deviance. That's not by chance. That's because deviance is an incredibly important topic in sociology, because it's important in society. In this video, we will scratch the surface of what deviance is and the different types of deviance. Deviance, simply put, is the recognized violation of cultural norms. And as I'm sure you remember from your culture chapter, not all norms are the same. There are three types of norms: folkways, mores, and taboos. Folkways are informal norms that are not reinforced in law or policy. These are norms that are more to do with politeness, such as not picking your nose in public. Mores, another type of norm, is more severe and is usually placed in law or policy, such as not selling drugs. And taboos are the most severe. The violation of a taboo results in disgust, revulsion, perhaps even expulsion from society. Something severe such as cannibalism. The mere fact that we have different types of norms tells us something. It tells us that not all deviance is the same. Some acts of deviance are considered more severe than others. Some acts of deviance are relatively minor, such as not being polite, not saying hello. Others more severe, such as drinking underage, or even more than that, murder. Severity changes. Consider for a moment these three images. What comes to mind? When you see Elvis, do you think, oh my gosh, he's a huge deviant? Well, you might. He was a deviant, in fact, to the point that when he was on TV, they oftentimes wouldn't show him from the waist down, because the way he shook his hips was far too deviant. The way he shook his hips was far too sexualized. And so he was a deviant. Nowadays, if Elvis was on TV and he shook his hips, would we think, oh my gosh, what a deviant? Or would we shrug? Well, nowadays on TV, people do much worse, dance in much more provocative ways. This tells us something about deviance. This tells us that deviance changes. Deviance changes across time. That what we consider deviant 10 years ago, we might not consider deviant today. And what we consider deviant today, we might not consider deviant 10 years from now. That's because deviance is based on cultural norms. And our culture changes, our norms change. In the second image, there's roughly 15 to 20 young Hispanic males wearing baggy clothes and, for the most part, have shaved or buzzed heads. Do you see them and think deviant or not deviant? Well, the answer's not clear-cut. Some would see them and say, well, they look like gang members, they might be deviant. Others would say, no, you can't judge them based on how they look. In fact, they're holding a sign that says, car wash for Anthony Martinez, a friend of theirs. They're engaged in a beneficial act, raising money for a friend. Not deviant. But others would say it doesn't matter. That's simply because they are gang members, they're labeled deviant no matter what. Again, there's no real right or wrong answer. The question of deviance can change based on the questions we ask and what theory we utilize. And on a related point, our last image. A gentleman wearing a nice suit, smiling, in front of an ocean. Do you consider him deviant or not? For the most part, we would think, no, he's a well-respected businessman, or at least he looks like it, he must not be a deviant. In reality, that is a deviant. That is Kenneth Lay, one of the individuals behind the Enron scandal, that cost hundreds, if not thousands of people their life savings. We oftentimes label blue-collar crime as more deviant than white-collar crime, even though white-collar crime is far more costly on U.S. taxpayers than blue-collar crime. Again, there's really no right or wrong answers to any of the questions asked on any of these pictures. Because what we consider deviant, what we consider more deviant or less severe, differs based on the questions we ask. Some questions we might ask are deviant according to who? Is it deviant according to me? According to a police officer? And who decides what is deviant? If I were to decide what is deviant, I might come with a different list than you. Or do our legislators decide what is deviant? Or our police officers? Well, different theories will suggest different things. And lastly, are some acts or some people inherently deviant? Again, the questions and answers vary based on what theory we look at. And as you read your textbook, consider the many theories within the deviance chapter and how each theory would apply the concept of deviance differently in different situations to different people.